Hello and welcome to Life.EV, the podcast where we delve into exploring values in the fast paced world of entrepreneurship. India stands on the cusp of becoming the world's third largest economy by 27-28 and poised to enter the exclusive club of 5 trillion economies alongside the US and China. We find ourselves in a realm of unprecedented opportunities, and this is especially true for entrepreneurs. I'm Ajit Panicker, your host, and in my dual role as the head of Nova, an air conditioning business, and Pure Blue, a tech startup in the same sector, I've experienced firsthand the challenges and triumphs of business growth. Every Saturday at 11 a.m., Life.EV will bring to you insightful discussions that revolve around a pivotal question: can we simultaneously expand our business and enrich our lives, exploring value creation? Our aim is to spark a meaningful conversation in society, fostering a space where each of us can discover our true purpose. Join us in this journey where we explore not about the mechanics of business growth, but the ethos that drives it. Welcome to Life.EV, Life Exploring Values. And to help me actually understand this better, joining me is to unravel these intricate concepts is Vivek Asrani, the driving force behind KMO Fastener Company, a trailblazing company in the industrial fastener sector. What sets Vivek apart is his deep engagement with the exploration of values. Now, for close to 4 years, he has dedicatedly penned his reflections on this topic every week. These insightful thoughts are accessible on his website, vivekasrani.com. Hi, Vivek, great to have you with us here. Thank you for joining, and thank you for accepting my invitation to be part of the first podcast.
Yeah, Ajit, thanks so much for having me here for this conversation. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. So, Vivek, uh, it's your commitment to sharing your thoughts on exploring values weekly for so many years is not just impressive but incredibly inspiring. Now, being our first episode, I'd like you to share with our listeners what sparked this journey for you. What has been your motivation of drive and the driving force about being so consistent on this profound exploration?
So, Ajit, honestly, it started off accidentally. Though, having said that, let me also say that nothing in life is an accident, and things which are meant to happen happen. So, we were in Lonavala during COVID in the first few days, and lockdown had just been announced. And I remember I walked out in the garden. Rashida was sitting over there, and I just said something to her. I said, resilience, responsibility, optimism. Okay, so she's looking at me very strangely. And then I kind of penned it down. And I sent it out to some friends, and we have a WhatsApp group in the family. And next morning, again, I was sitting in the garden. We were all sitting and doing nothing really. So I wrote down something else and I sent it out. So by the third day, people started writing back saying, hey, we're liking this. Are you writing this? Are you forwarding this from somewhere else? And within a week, people started engaging with me on this. So I was enjoying myself sitting every morning and just, putting my reflection out there. And then within, I think it was 10 or 12 days, two very dear friends of mine, Mustafa and Priya, called and said, look, you have to put this out there. I said, what do you mean put it out there? I'm sending it to you guys, right? They said, no, you've got to put this in a blog. And that's how this whole journey started. And within a month, I had a blog site up and running. And, you know, before I knew it, it's now when I look back, it's been almost 4 years, more than 650 reflections, and consistently every week put it out there. So that's really how this started. And where did this really come from, Ajit? And that is something you and I were just chatting a little bit offline. So part of it is my own experiences, something that I am struggling with, something which I have experienced, which has worked out well for me, something which I am still not so clear about and I'm grappling with. I also look at people's lives. I observe things around me. Somebody may say something, and that's really how it kind of triggers off these thoughts and reflections. So that's really how the whole thing started off for me.
It's amazing. So, for most of our viewers who are not aware, Vivek's written a very interesting book, One Day at a Time. You can buy this off at his website or even get to Amazon and pick up this book. And actually, all through our episodes of Life.EV, we are going to be discussing every week at 11 a.m. Our podcasts are not going to be more than 20-25 minutes unless we have a lot of engagement from you guys.
Mhm.
But it's all about one reflection every week. And let's deep dive into this in a little more
Yeah.
closer. So today's topic that we decided to choose was between the easy way and the right way. Vivek, your writings have extremely explored this theme. We enlighten our listeners about these insights on this. We're quite eager to understand your perspective on how these paths differ, the challenges and rewards each presents, and how how these concepts play a pivotal role in both personal and professional spheres.
So, Ajit, first of all, I don't think I'm anyone to enlighten anyone on anything. It's really just about sharing some of my thoughts on this. So, it really comes down to the way we want to live our life, the way I see it, the way I've answered this question for myself. That what is it that we truly want from our own lives? And I just want to, over here read out a kind of a small paragraph from my reflection, which I had written. In fact, this reflection was written almost 3 years ago. That our choice of taking the easy or right path really boils down to what we truly want from life and the way we want to live our life. It is about making our life meaningful in the way that we understand it. It is easy to get judgmental about choices other people make. The right way is to first look into the mirror before we look out of the window. So, partly for me, it was about what is it that I want from life and what is the way I want to live my life. And, let me share with you something quite interesting that happened with me. So, we had an income tax refund that was stuck for the longest time. And I asked my accounts head, I said, what's the problem? And he very sheepishly told me, he said, look, the inspector is expecting some money. So I accompanied him to the tax office one day on my way home. I walked into the inspector's office and I said to him, I said, and exactly in this tone, I said, Tripathi ji mujhe keh rahe hain, aap unse kuch paise मांग रहे हैं. So there was a lady who was sitting there in front of the inspector. She got up and walked out, not wondering who is this person who walks into the income tax office and speaks this way. I said, प्रॉब्लम ये नहीं है कि वो आपको पैसा देना नहीं चाहते हैं. प्रॉब्लम ये है कि वो पैसा दे नहीं सकते क्योंकि कंपनी उनको पैसा नहीं दे रही. एंड आई एम हियर टू टेल यू व्हाई द कंपनी डजंट गिव हिम मनी टू गिव यू. सो आई वेंट ऑन टू टेल हिम, आई सेड, हम बिजनेस नहीं चला रहे हैं, हम देश बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि जो टैक्सेस हम आपको देते हैं आपके हाथ गांव पहुंचेगा, बिजली, पानी, सड़क, शिक्षा के लिए, और गांव में वो बच्चा आपके और मेरी तरह जिंदगी में आगे बढ़ सकेगा. इसलिए हम कैश जनरेट नहीं करते, इसलिए हम आपको ये पैसा नहीं दे सकते हैं. Now, जी, something very interesting happened. Now, here was a corrupt official sitting in front of me, right? Because he'd asked us for money and he was sitting on our refund for the longest time. Something very interesting happened. He gets up and he says, Sir, aapko pata hai, I'm also doing a lot of charity in life. And he started telling me all the good things he does. He
Uh,
apologized. He said, please go and your refund will reach you within a month, which it absolutely did. So when I was driving home, I was just reflecting on this. And I thought to myself, I said, what happened today? I had an option of either taking the easy and the convenient way, paying him a few thousand rupees and getting our refund in time, or I could have gone down the path which I believed was the right thing for us. And experiment. And I said, why am I not even willing to try out uh, a more difficult, but what I believe might be a better and the right path? So, in my experience, in my successes and failures, it's really a combination of our willingness and ability. Very often we feel that we don't have the ability to walk the straight and narrow path, or we don't have the ability to really do what it takes and do the right thing. But I think part of the answer is that we lack the willingness. It's not the ability that we lack. Very often we ourselves don't have the faith and the conviction that we can do it if we want to. And for me, today I'm looking back, okay, this income tax refund was not such a big deal. We could have lived with that refund not coming for a few more months. But Ajit, when I started my business and the first decision I'd made at that time was that we'll run this on certain principles. And I was challenged. We were negotiating an order which was equal to our turnover. I desperately needed the business. One of the most corrupt purchase departments I've ever come across. Uh, Private sector, not government. And I walked away from it. And we were one of two companies who could have done that. And I said to myself, we're not going to corrupt the system to get business. But having said that, what does it take for us to still win? We can't say that we're good and therefore we're losing. We have to demonstrate that we're good and therefore we're winning. Otherwise, people won't believe in the strength and the power of goodness. And then from really struggling, we kind of opened up the business, increased our product line, built a whole lot of things. And I don't want to get into the details of that. And today we are market leaders in our space, with a respectable brand and recognized for what we do. But the one thing that I learned through that was that when we anchored ourselves to certain principles that we made almost non negotiable, it unleashed a certain creativity, innovation, strength, and resilience from within to say that, look, I will not take the convenient path. Can I do what is right? So,
Amen.
and I used the word and I said almost because let me be completely honest over here, Ji. It's not that we're a perfect company. It's not that I'm a perfect person, and Rashida will more than validate that. But that discussion for another day. There are times where, as a company, we are faced with certain pressures, and honestly, it's more the lower level and the cutting edge bureaucracy, which sometimes we just don't know. We haven't learned how to handle it well. I'll be very honest about that. But we've been through 25 income tax scrutinies, not a single rupee paid. Because our answer is very simple. If you accept what we are giving you, great. If you don't, tell us why, give it to us in writing. And if we accept what you're saying, we'll pay the difference. And if we don't, we'll go into appeal. So we've, stuck to that. And that really has, in a way, not only built a certain ethos within the organization, but has also forced us to work in a particular manner. Let
Vivek,
me,
Sunita,
sorry, let me just
sorry,
add one quick thing to this. Very often we think that culture is a soft aspect of the business. And I've always argued that culture is of strategic importance. So, we, I we are respected in the in the industry because we just do not do any cash business, right? So one of my sales team, they came to me early on, and I thought I'd done a great job of institutionalizing the culture internally. And he says to me, he said, look, there is this one account which is really big, but we don't have the fastener business. We only have the tools business. I said, I know how big the business is because we sell all the tools and I know how many tools they're using. He's saying, look, the purchase officer is saying, you're not doing something for me. Let me take care of this guy. It's only 3%. And it's a huge order. So I said, what do you suggest? He's saying, let me take care of it. I know, nobody else needs to know. So I said, let me give him some rope before I pull him back. I said, okay, I think it's a great idea. Let's do it. Let's get this business and let's grow the organization. But before we do that, let's just ask ourselves one question. I said, you will have aspirations to move up in this company. And at some point, you'll want to hand off these accounts to your one down. At which point, you'll call him and tell him that, listen, this is what I know, Vivek knows, and now you know. I said, from that day onwards, he's going to stop believing everything he's heard from us because he'd say these guys are saying one thing but doing something else. I said, second, you'll stand in front of the sales team. You will say the right things, but it won't come from here. It won't come from your gut. It won't have the desired effect. And I said, third, when under pressure, this will become the operating paradigm and the operating culture in the system. And there'll come a point where, people will be telling you that, I know, even Vivek doesn't need to know. I said, this cancer will then become a culture. I said, now you do the math. There's a loss of profit for not getting this business, but there's a loss of organizational culture. It took us 2 years. I said, do what it takes. Is it price? Is it quality? Is it delivery? Is it service? It took us 2 years and we had the business. And I believe today, one of the reasons we are strong as individuals and businesses is because we anchor ourselves to certain roots, which holds us firm even when the wind and the storm comes our way.
Amazing. You know, Sunita kind of asked a question while this session was on. She says the right way is tough, but in the long term, we need to walk the talk. And I kind of, that was my follow up question to you. You know, for small businesses, uh, our challenge is we are always pressurized to scale up, low profitability, cost cuttings. These are things that happen. And then you follow certain principles, ethics, and, things that you want to, what you believe in. Then you suddenly realize that you are in the minority and you have your entire competition, everyone, just racing ahead because they don't follow the same principles. Now, how do you actually, what are your thoughts on how do you actually stick to these principles without asking your organization to pay the price for it? Uh, how does that thought process work? Yeah.
So I think that's a great question, Ajit. The example I just shared earlier, one of the learnings for me in that was that there is a price to being ethical, but there's a greater price to being unethical. I think it really boils down to three, four things. One is there is always a trade off between the short term and the long term. Entrepreneurs and even individuals, right? All of us, uh, it's very easy and tempting to gravitate towards making the short term decision. It takes a certain amount of, I would say, internal resilience, but a deeper sense of faith and understanding for long-term value creation. So that is the first starting point for, if we talk about entrepreneurs, and it's true for our personal lives as well. So that is one. Second is, I would say, it's between convenience and building a certain strength. Now, it's very convenient. It would have been very convenient for me to pay off, an officer during an assessment. But because we don't do that, it forces us to make sure that our affairs are in order. It compels us to overinvest not only in certain processes and people, but even in constantly communicating that culture. And third is, to my mind, it really goes down to what are you anchoring yourself to as individuals and as a business. Business, to my mind, is all about people and creating value in the lives of all the stakeholders, whether it be your suppliers, your customers, your team, or society at large. Now, if that is the outgoing paradigm, then at every stage, I think the entrepreneur would ask himself or herself the question, what do I need to do to create value? Versus if the entrepreneur and each one of us is asking the question, what do I need to do to make more money? Then the paths that we take may be slightly different. So I think when we move from profit to value, when we move only from shareholder to stakeholders, when we move from short term to long term value creation, and when we are willing to make some of the trade offs between convenience to building resilience, I think automatically it comes. And honestly, I think it just lies in simplifying it, which is coming down to Ajit asking a simple question. I sit on the board of a few companies, and the chairman of one of the boards, we were having a discussion, and he said this. He said, let's just do the right thing. As simple as that. So when we simplify it for ourselves and we take a step back and we say, let's just do what is right and what feels right, you know, then automatically, magically, and I'm using the word magically because I don't have an explanation for this, because it's happened to me in my personal life so often, where I knew I'm taking the long, difficult road not traveled, to put it a little poetically, and doors opened, answers came, people came in my life who kind of, held my hand and helped me along the way. How did it happen? Could I have anticipated it? Was it a strategic thing? No. It's just being completely convinced from within that, saying that, listen, is this the right thing for me to do? Let me do it. But I had a very interesting experience on this. We were at an exhibition, And one of our sales guys, he comes to me very excited. He said, "So this customer is going to come and buy from us tomorrow. This one nailer, costing about 30,000 rupees." I was happy for him. I said, "Yeah, good. I mean, we sell lots of tools every day." Again, he told me in the evening, he said, "Look, this guy is definitely going to come and buy from us tomorrow." And he was very excited about this one order. I couldn't really figure out what the backstory was. Next day, he comes to me at the exhibition stall. He's saying, "So the order is closed and we got the order." So I called him. I said, "I mean, what's the backstory? Why are you so excited about this? I mean, it's great that you got this order, but it's like another day at work, right?" He said, "This customer went to all our competitors in the same exhibition. And he's saying the moment he walked in, they were all talking about why that customer shouldn't be buying from us. And he's saying, when I came to your stall, you didn't talk about your competitors. You only talked about your products, your company, and how you can deliver good value to me." And he went on to say that when the customer asked him about the competition, our salesperson, he said, "Well, they're also good. Their products work. It's not that they don't, which is why they're in the market, but we have a much stronger value proposition for you." Customers selected to buy from us because of our culture. That's the day I realized that culture is of strategic importance. It's not just a soft, good to have, it's a very hard, strong must have. And this goes for our professional lives as well as our personal lives.
Amazing. Just to tell you, Vivek, it's our first episode. We've got some great messages coming in, and we've got close to over 100 live viewers today, right now, from all our channels. So, to all our viewers, I think you've heard our first episode, and our intent is very clear. We want to get a conversation going around this, and that's the clear intent that we started this podcast for. Get talking. So that was a thought-provoking discussion with deep insights. It's certainly given us plenty to ponder about the balance between exploring values and business growth. Now, I'm going to encourage each of you to just keep these ideas, not just keep these ideas to yourself. Take this episode, share it with your friends, colleagues, and family, and ask them one simple question: what do you think? Do you think, is this even real? Do you think, is this even possible? Spark a conversation and see where it leads. And we'd love to hear from you on that. Join this dialogue on our social media platforms. Share your questions, your learnings, and the insights you've gained from this episode. It's through these shared experiences and perspectives that we all grow and learn. So don't hesitate to reach out and contribute to this ongoing conversation. Your voice matters in shaping a world which is more ethically driven business world. So that's it for today. And join us again next week for another enriching episode of Life.EV, where we continue our exploration into a fascinating world of exploring values in our lives. A big thank you to you, Vivek, for your valuable contributions today. We're looking forward to diving deeper into these critical discussions in our next session. So see you next week, where we'll unravel some more insights and perspectives that shape our ethical compass. Thank you for listening, and remember to reach out to your friends and get a conversation going on life exploring values. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Ajit. Look forward. Take care.
See you next week.
See you next week too. Bye.